or any other number. I'll keep an eye on a text from you.
Thanks. 855.
20 seconds.
Thank you.
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Summers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Thursday, April 24th, 2025. It is a great day to be a Wisconsinite. It is NFL Draft Day in Green Bay, Wisconsin, something that a lot of folks, particularly those listening on WGBW, our great station in Green Bay, have been looking forward to for, over a couple of years now. After this was announced, it is draft day. We are going to celebrate appropriately enough. In hour number 2, our friend and colleague, host of Nightlight, right here on Civic Media every evening, 6 until 8, normally from GBW in Green Bay. Pete Schwaba is actually in Madison. He's going to be here joining us in person, talking a little bit about the Packers, the draft, Green Bay, but also some entertainment things as well. Also, at What's Worse, a food edition in hour 2. Onions or no onions? We'll discuss that. Our old friend Kevin O'Connor is going to be here at the bottom of the hour, my old broadcast partner, talking about Green Bay Packer draft, booms and busts of the past. And also, anybody remember the old NFL Cheese League here in Wisconsin? We'll discuss that with Kev at the bottom of the hour. But now somebody who I know remembers the old NFL Wisconsin Cheese League. He is there joining us live from Lambeau Field via telephone. Civic Media's great sports reporter. Nobody's better than our own Mike Clemens. Mike, thanks for taking the time on a busy, busy day.
Yeah, I think there is kind of a cell signal problem here because maybe the volume of people, because I've kind of had trouble getting things uploaded or whatever, even though I got 2 or 3 bars. But how are you, Todd?
I'm doing well. It's interesting you bring that up because we actually kind of toyed around with doing the show up there either today or tomorrow. And because of what you just said, and in fact, I got some information that went through some of the people are having to register or whatever. It's crazy what people have to do. All these national people come in, plus people visiting. And I think it's really going to wreak havoc with some of these signals. So that's part of the reason we're not up there live. But you're always there on site, bringing us the best from the Packers, the Brewers, the Bucks, from the Badgers. Have you ever been to a draft in person like this before? I was obviously first time in Wisconsin, but have you been to these before?
No, and that's because people say, oh, so you're going to Radio Music City Hall in New York, right? Or you're going to go to Nashville.
Right.
Since Roger Goodell got the idea, say, how can we make more money on this? How can we
Right.
turn this into an even better TV show? And the year that they did it in Nashville was really terrific pictures, and it was a great party atmosphere too. And then that is when it really took off. Kansas City seemed to be a pretty good place. We're going to be interested to see if, in fact, Green Bay has as big a draw as they had in Detroit last year and some of the previous markets, only because, I think there's an awful lot of people that wonder if the weather is going to be iffy, that the fact that Green Bay, as opposed to those larger markets, has got fewer places to stay in, and some of the prices, motels that usually go for $90 a night, $100, they're charging $600 a night.
Right.
Parking right now, if you get on a busy street like Oneida that goes right by the stadium, as far as 8 blocks away, there's a church that's charging $100 for parking. and it's that way all the way in.
Right.
And so everybody thinks that this is going to be their big payday. I don't know if they're going to see the volume that maybe they thought they would.
Interesting. You're going to be there all week covering this for us. What as people are going to watch this tonight on ESPN, of course, but I mean, there's a lot of different places you can watch or listen to it. Just being there on the ground, what's they're calling it the auditorium, but yeah, there's a big, from what I see in the pictures, you're there. Describe this to us. It looks like a great big oversized outdoor tent, but this is technically outside, right? What we're going to see tonight on television.
Oh yeah, so you take Lambeau Field,
Mhm.
and then you take the parking lot around the stadium and over by the pro shop, which is on the north side, and they've built a giant stage like they have with these other outdoor NFL drafts at NFL cities around the country for the past decade or so. And the director, let us know on a conference call like 6 months ago, because everybody's like, where are they going to put this? They're going to put it by the Hudson Center across the street? Are they going to do it here? They could do it. There was talk maybe they do it inside the bowl. And at the end of the day, they said, you know what, we're going to do it in the parking lot, but you take the stage so it faces. So when you take that picture of Goodell hugging the player and giving him a jersey, the behind the camera shot has Lambeau Field as the backdrop. So that's the way that's all situated. I mean, it's a TV show at the end of the day, right? With about 80 to 100,000 extras, that being the fans from all over the country, as part of the extras in this production. So that's what you'll see tonight. They are going to utilize Lambeau Field as part of their, quote, red carpet. So to add to the pageantry, just like they did with the honors show that started out on Saturdays, now they've moved it to prime times on bigger networks. They're going to have those 16 prospects that decided to commit and come to Green Bay to pick up their jersey in the first round, if in fact they get taken. That little, quote, red carpet is going to be along the visitor's sideline inside Lambeau, then a tunnel, and then out to the big stage. And so, some of the people have to anchor this like, okay, that's going to take about a minute, 2 minutes a walk. So that's how much time we've got to talk about this guy while they go through the tunnels. But, and for me, the way I cover this every year, Todd, is I don't go to the draft. That's not where the action is. I cover the Packers.
Right.
And so we sit in our usual media auditorium where you see LaFleur or Love after a game or Aaron Rodgers all those years. We sit in that auditorium, and when the Packers are on the clock, they make their pick. Then the TV screens go up. The scout that found him comes down and talks to us from the office. We get the player on the phone, on the speakerphone. We interview that kid that just became a Packer. And then at the end of the night, Gutekunst comes down and tells us why the team selected him. So that's what we're here. We're here to gather the probably 8 to 10, 15 players that they draft, interview them, and get to know them. And we put that in our reports, over the next couple of days.
And it's great that you've been to these before. You know the rhythm. I think there's been a lot of speculation from the fandom. I'll put myself in there. Oh, are they going to go wide receiver? What are they? Is Goody going to trade up for something dramatic because it's there? I mean, in your experience, it seems like from what I'm hearing from you and others that the Packers are like, no, this is just going to be business as usual. Is that your take?
Yeah, while they always want to take the best player available, I also think as a part of their template in the draft is it's harder to find the bigger guys, the defensive linemen, the defensive ends, linebackers like a Quay Walker, et cetera, versus we can get all kinds of good wide receivers in the second and third and even later rounds. Hell, Donald Driver was a 7th-round pick.
Right.
So every year, though, it's like, because they haven't taken one since Javon Walker, and I think that was a Mike Sherman call. And every year people say, is this the year they take a wide receiver? And I say, yeah, and are you like Linus in The Great Pumpkin, where this is the year? And instead, the Packers are like Lucy with a football, and they pull it away from you at the last second. Don't bite on it. It's possible, but I think that they're probably going to sit there at 23. They'll start out tonight. Gutekunst will have about 7 or 8 players that he thinks are worth a first-round pick. He's picking 23. By the time they get to him at 23, then he'll decide. These 2 or 3 guys still left on the board, are they worth it? Do the numbers match? It's all about value. And then at that point, he'll pull the trigger and take that best player available, those 2 left. Or if there aren't anybody left above the line, then he'll get on the phone and trade down and get out of there.
Yeah. Mike Clemens, a minute left here. We'll let you go. But what should our listeners, our viewers know from you being there on the ground locally in Green Bay that they might not hear anyplace else? Whether it's just the flavor of the place or anything else, people might be familiar with Green Bay for having gone to the game. What should people know?
Well, quickly, for our listeners who are maybe headed up to Green Bay, my recommendation is take one of those park and ride things and get off there and take a shuttle into the area and then come and party. Unless, of course, you've already figured out how to stay here, then you're getting into ground zero. On the other hand, this is a great day to celebrate. There's a lot of kids. There's this Matthew Golden from Texas who, 10 years ago, he and his mom were homeless outside a Walmart. And tonight he's got a chance to be a first-round pick. He visited with the Packers, by the way, 2 weeks ago, a wide receiver. And that's what's the best part about this is that instantly these kids become NFL players and a chance to change their families' lives.
Wow, incredible. Mike Clemens, we appreciate you taking time so very much. We'll look forward to all your reports over the next 2 or 3 days here. Be safe up there. Have a great time. We'll talk to you soon, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Love the show, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you so very much. Mike Clemens, everybody, our sports reporter on the ground there at Lambeau Field. How about that, Summers? I mean, you got somebody that is right there in the room, going to be talking to Goody, going to be talking to whoever they draft tonight. Keep it locked here on Civic Media because Mike is going to have these reports. You're not going to hear some of this stuff anyplace else from our own Mike Clemens.
And I love that. I love his description of, I'm not there in the draft. I'm there talking to the Packers after.
Right.
That's stuff you don't hear from other people. And to me, the behind-the-scenes stuff in media is the absolute coolest. So
yeah, there really is.
That was very interesting.
No, Mike always gets it done, always does a great job there. 17, 18, 19. We've got time to do, this is a little report here. Not a little, it's an awesome report. Putting perspective on the day. This is a great entry here from our colleague Terry Barr, giving us a slice of the Green Bay Packers and the draft.
There's no denying the history of the Green Bay Packers, the only nonprofit community-owned team, third oldest, most wins in the NFL, and the same home field since 1957. Here's Packers Public Affairs Director Aaron Popke.
I think just what Lambeau Field means to football fans, it's often spoken of as the Mecca, it's on a bucket list, those types of things.
Now history comes to life along the Packers Heritage Trail when actors play the parts of Curly Lambeau, Vince Lombardi, and many others. And all along the downtown City Walk, you can hear these Packers stories of the past.
Lean into the history, the tradition. We often hear, if we're not someone's favorite team, we're their second favorite team.
Learn the past throughout the day on Thursday, April 24th, before it's about the future when the draft officially kicks off that night. With your daily NFL draft coverage, I'm Terry Barr. Find more anytime at WGBW.FM and WISS.FM.
There you are, Terry Barr, great Terry Barr. We always appreciate her slice of Wisconsin, giving us a little taste of history there on draft day from Green Bay. Thank you, Terry. We appreciate you so very much. When we come back, I want to was listening a couple days ago here to Matt Rothschild was filling in on the 4 to 6 slot here before the new times got put into place. And one of our longtime callers, Joe, in Madison. And Joe, if you happen to be listening.
Yes, I remember this.
Joe, if you're listening, give us a call because you can say it in your own words because I'm not going to say it as well as you. But she brought up something that I think is so important on this draft day when a lot of cameras and microphones are going to be pointed in the direction of Green Bay and Lambeau Field. It is a rich history of the Packers, of Vince Lombardi, and what this really means, the history of this team. And it was Vince Lombardi who really set the tone in this state. That the way he did it is an example for all of us. And it cut across party lines. And I think it's part of what makes Wisconsin great. It's part of why people love the Green Bay Packers, whether we always take time to remember it or to acknowledge it out loud or not. But we're going to do that, so come on back. We'll talk about that. And coming up at the bottom of the hour, Kevin O'Connor, Packers, booms and busts, and the old NFL Cheese League. Stay tuned. It's draft day right here on the Todd Allbaugh Show. You're listening across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
You're listening to 92.7 WMDX. I'm Dan Schaefer.
Interesting.
Let's
They have a Tom Hartman
recombobulate.
liner.
In recent months,
Oh,
Milwaukee
that was
health
him.
officials
Oh,
have
really?
uncovered significant lead hazards in city schools, mostly due to lead-based paint. Several schools have now been closed as the problem has been found to be more widespread. In late March, city officials formally requested help from the CDC, but in doing so, they learned that the CDC's entire lead program had been eliminated by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This is a major problem. Children in the state's largest city are being exposed to lead poisoning at their schools, and the Trump administration is not only refusing to provide assistance, they are eliminating the entire lead program that would help in cases like this one. Now, state and local officials must step up to do something for these kids, since Trump and RFK Jr. are gutting federal support. Milwaukee's children deserve better.
Find all of Dan's work at the Recombobulation Area and on our website at civicmedia.us.
The Dane County
I hope
Humane
we do hear
Society
from
offers
Joe on that,
programs
'cause
for
she-
humans of all
she knows
ages.
the story
So
well.
yeah. For kids, there's Camp Paw Print, Scout Workshops, After Dark, and the new Camp Wild Side. They also offer field trips,
You listen to that
birthday
whole show?
parties, service days, and their new
Not the whole thing,
Paws
no.
and Pages reading
I would say
program.
maybe,
Learn more
I don't know,
at
25, 30
giveshelter.org.
minutes-ish.
I thought it was a pretty good
Slash
show.
education.
yeah. From what I heard, it was. I was running errands, so I couldn't listen to the whole thing.
I was on the board, so
Oh.
I did listen to the whole thing.
The John and Gordy Show.
We have as our special guest Mike McCabe.
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes, and we are deporting people who do pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, I said, it's not like we're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. We're throwing paying passengers overboard to make more room for a bigger first class for those freeloaders who are lounging there.
Weekday mornings 6
Very
till
nice.
8 on
Thank you.
92.7 WMDX.
The Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 22 now, past the hour on NFL Draft Day. Zombers on the board, dialing up some Packers green and gold music. Glad to have you along. Again, many thanks to Mike Clemens, the great Mike Clemens, our sports reporter here at Civic Media. On the ground at Lambeau Field, we'll be tracking all of the Packers picks during this draft, having the interviews from Gutekunst and the players and everyone else. So keep it locked here. We will have those updates from Mike Clemens. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, our friend Kevin O'Connor is in, my old broadcast partner from my Platteville days, is going to be joining us for a little commentary, a little take and analysis on Packers drafts, booms and busts, and also the old cheese league as well. You're much too young to remember, Zombers, but we'll fill you in.
I sure am.
It was from the 90s, yes. But interesting take on that. And Kevin, of course, I shouldn't say of course, because most people don't know, grew up in Chicagoland. So, yes, he's a Bears fan. Don't hold it against him. So he'll have a couple of takes for our Bears fans out there as well. Bears, booms and busts in the draft as well.
And yeah, really, when it comes to Bears fans, they have it hard enough as it is. You don't need to hold it against them.
Exactly. Good. That's a good take. I wanted to bring this up before we went any further because it's really important. And one of the many reasons I love doing this show is because of the people out there listening and the people that participate in our show. And one of our longtime listeners and callers, Joe in Madison, she called in Matt Rothschild, was filling in the 4 to 6 slot a couple 3 nights ago, Zommers.
On Tuesday, yeah.
On Tuesday, thank you. Zommers is on the board. He should know. And Joe called in to remind us as the draft approached here that one of the things we should pause and reflect upon was the late, great Vince Lombardi. And not just because of his record as the head coach of the Packers, not just because he won Super Bowl 1 and 2, or his teams did with him as coach, not just because of his great ability to inspire people and to make us better, but because of his views and his leadership at a time in this country when it was difficult to do so. And Joe was talking about Lombardi explaining, and this is, I'm not going to explain this as well as she did, but I'm going to attempt to. Lombardi once told a reporter that he viewed his players as, quote, neither black nor white, but as Packer green, unquote. Amongst professional football head coaches in the midst of the civil rights movement, Lombardi's anti-discrimination views were, to say the least, unusual. Joe also reminded us that Lombardi had a brother who happened to be gay, who he loved very much. And I think this is such a great example, and I've talked about it in different ways on this show before. Sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with national movements, don't get me wrong, but sometimes the greatest effect we can have is on the world is by making a difference right where we're at. And Lombardi didn't necessarily set out to completely change or take on the entire civil rights movement, but he controlled what he could control, which was his locker room and his organization. And he made it very clear that he would not tolerate racial or sexual discrimination of any kind. That if he heard racial slurs or gay slurs, people were gone, done, zero tolerance. And he stuck to it. And so people in that locker room just knew that that wasn't going to happen. No more so than you could go out and play half-assed on the field. You also were not going to be tolerated as a racist or a homophobe in the locker room or any part of the organization.
It wasn't even just in the organization either. It was also restaurants. If they had restaurants that wanted to seat black players elsewhere, like, nope, we're not going here. Everybody leave. And they did.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for bringing that up. That's what Joe was talking about as well. Thank you for bringing that up. That Lombardi made it clear around town that he wasn't going to stand for it. I'm going to read something here. This is from cheeseheadtv.com. Cheeseheadtv.com. Says, since there's already a lot of rich content that exists on the subject, says, I want to shine a spotlight on these existing pieces and compile some snippets along with player quotes here. Says his greatest Packer teams depended upon full integration, Lombardi's. When he came to Green Bay as assistant coach from the New York Giants, the Packers had only one black player, Nate Borden. Lombardi understood that he could not construct a championship team by ignoring black athletes. As a head coach and general manager, people forget that. He wasn't just the head coach, he was the GM as well, Lombardi. He drafted and recruited some of the greatest black players in the league. In 1967, the Packers fielded a squad with 13 black athletes, including All-Pros Willie Davis, Willie Wood, Dave Robinson, Herb Adderley, and Bob Jeter. But Lombardi did not simply play black athletes. He treated them the same as his white players, even when disciplining them. Quote, it never enters my mind that I'm being chewed out because, this is a direct quote from David Robinson. It says, it never enters my mind that I'm being chewed out because I'm a Negro. He said, the important thing is everybody gets equal treatment, unquote. That from Dave Robinson. Traditionally, head coaches assigned hotel rooms based on race. Lombardi, however, made sure that room assignments were not made on the basis of skin color. In 1967, Harry Edwards reported, the Packers were the only NFL team with such a policy. Important to remember that you can be proud to be a Packer, not just because of our championships, not just because of Lombardi, but what Lombardi stood for off the field as well. Come on back. Kevin O'Connor is next. Farm news, update, weather and sports. Back after this, the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Packers go, and the Packers rock, yeah, we'll be rolling. Go, you Packers, go, go.
I think it's time, Terry, that the
Real news and great conversation. 92.7 WMDX. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic
I'm gonna
Media
get a drink.
app.
Sounds good.
If you've been paying attention to some agriculture news, you know that HPAI H5N1 is a hot topic right now. I'm Ben Jarbo with the Midwest Farm Report, and Keith Polson, the director of the Wisconsin Veterinary Diagnostic Lab in Madison, is here to explain why this is not a food safety issue when it comes to dairy products, and how having many government agencies working on this issue is making it a bit more difficult.
I always start and finish with the same thing, is that pasteurization is 100% effective. So this is not a food safety issue, and that's where dairy farmers need to understand that. This is a disease of animals, but it's complicated because milk and the
There he
cow
is,
a
Kevin
USDA
O'Connor.
agent.
Hello, hello.
How are you, Kev? Look at you.
Fine, how are you?
Looking very official.
I had some things to do. I'm like, if I set up down here at the Panther Arena in the team store,
that looks fantastic.
Can't promise you someone may come walking in the middle of this, but
even better. Even better.
It looks like I'm on set. That's correct.
That's great. Can we say that where you're at? Are we allowed to
Absolutely,
do that?
yes. There's
All right,
drafts.
all right.
Jordy Nelson is doing a draft thing here on Saturday.
Get out. He's one of my favorite all-time Packers. That's
tied in. Absolutely.
All right, wonderful.
Makes me officially shilling for the university by being here, like all the publicity, right? Like here we are.
100%.
That's what we're doing.
The grind never stops.
That's exactly right.
Kevin, this is my producer, Aaron. Aaron, this is Kev.
Good to see you.
Good to put a face to the name.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, I didn't. Well, I'll explain why we go. I didn't do the shtick so much, but we did something better. We talked about Vince Lombardi's rich history of bringing diversity to the Packers. I didn't know there's only one black player for the Packers when Lombardi started, and then he ends up drafting some of the all-time greats.
I knew that was definitely one of his legacies for sure.
So we talked about that, and so yeah, we could talk a little bit about the Cheese League. We'll talk about best and worst Packer, and throw in some Bears draft people, and whatever else.
Yeah, I'll roll with wherever you go. I can throw a few Bears names in there for sure. Unfortunately,
right.
I was looking last night. It's really quite a thing. It's kind of stuff you put out of your mind.
They've struggled.
They have
historically.
Yes.
I told Zommers, we're not playing the Bears still suck. That's just too mean. We're not doing that. Although they beat us last year. So what can I say?
That's correct. That last game of the year.
Don't remember.
1 game winning streak, unbeaten against the Packers in 2025.
That's 100% right. All right, so we got worst draft picks of the Packers in franchise history. Some of these people I have no idea. They're so bad, I can't even remember.
Exactly.
Let's see. And some of the best draft classes. Now, I thought this was interesting because, like, for instance, here, 2008, Jordy Nelson, Jermichael Finley, and Josh Sitton. I mean, that's
pretty good.
That's a class right there. Chris Geezy, even a blind squirrel finds a nut on occasion. Thanks, Geezy. I appreciate that.
I said it a little bit ago on the show. I also say it because one of my roommates is from Illinois and is a Bears fan. So I just say, we don't need to give Bears fans crap because they have it hard enough already.
That has been true for a while. Yes.
Oh, I get it in response to beating Green Bay. Well, we'll see. I mean, I haven't really kept track. How are the Bears looking this year?
I mean,
Yeah.
Depends on how good
Are they going to move to Schaumburg? That's my question.
I mean, that's a much more interesting yes. Is where they're going to play in the future. Right. They're going to build one of those $1 billion stadiums and try to get the Super Bowl in Chicago. The intrigue off the field is perhaps actually more interesting.
Right. All right, here we go. time now past the hour of 2 o'clock on this Tuesday, April 24th, NFL Draft Day in Lambeau Field in Green Bay. That's from happier times from the 80s down in Chicagoland. A little Super Bowl shuffle for you. Thank you, Zombers. I asked if he could pull that up. He wasn't even a glimmer in his mom's eye in 1985. But well done. Well done. That's intro music for our next guest. He was my broadcast partner, the better half of the broadcast team, by the way, back in the 90s at UW-Platteville. He is now the marketing director at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. He was on the show a couple of weeks ago when we were down there. I'm going to call him the sports authority, Kevin O'Connor. Kev, how are you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate that musical interlude. I have a VHS tape in my basement of the making of the Super Bowl Shuffle. If I could get that converted to digital, maybe we could we could share. I know every word to that song, and we got the day off of school the next day.
Did you really?
The Bears won the Super Bowl. We did indeed.
William the Refrigerator Perry, Mike Ditka.
It was a thing. It hasn't been a thing since. That's also
hasn't been a thing since.
No, it has not.
As we were talking before we came on, you guys are on a 1-game winning streak.
Unbeaten against the Packers in 2025, the old Chicago Bears. What can you say? You tried asking me what they're going to be like this year. Like, I mean, I don't know. We're talking draft. Like, obviously they used a draft pick very, very, very recently on yet another quarterback. You review the list of others that they've drafted over the years in that position. Well, I'd be a to be determined at that is what I would say.
We're going to get into the booms and busts here of the Packers and a little bit of the Bears in a second. But people who are frequent listeners of the show have heard me use the Kevin O'Connor line on several occasions. It is no more appropriate than it is today because I had a great thing lined up. I thought this will be fun and slightly funny. That I thought, well, we'll grill here in the studio, and so I thought, well, I'll go get like a George Foreman grill, and so here I have lined up behind me, Kevin. We've got our Clemens beef franks. I went to the store and got those. Some generic buns. We got ketchup, mustard. I thought we got tongs. We got tongs. I thought this will be great. We'll grill. I couldn't find a damn George Foreman grill to save my life. So, Kevin, what is it? Ideas like this, Kevin would look at me and say, great potential.
Oh, great potential. A great potential for disaster.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. Yes,
Today, it was potential for disaster.
I was more thinking, you were always an ideas person. The execution sometimes perhaps a little lacking.
That's a great way to put it.
Who was the coach? Was it? Well, I feel it was the Buccaneers coach said. So, how do you feel about the execution of your team? I'd be in favor of that. Feel like that might be it. Yeah, no, that sounds about right. Well, I had forgotten about that. I've tried to stay away from the great potential for disaster ideas.
I use it all the time. I use it all the time on this show for politics and otherwise.
Yeah. Well, find a microwave. You can warm up those Clemens beef franks, and you can have a little snack after the show. It's not a grill out, but it'll do.
Remember this? One time, Kevin and I were doing a Pioneer softball game, and I actually grilled during the broadcast.
That's also what I was thinking about. I feel like this is an idea that was put into action prior to the invention of said George Foreman grill. Right. It required charcoal.
We were grilling before George Foreman had 5 sons named George.
Inevitably breaking a number of state rules regarding food safety and approved catering all at the same time as well.
Nobody died.
Okay,
Nobody died.
No, as far as
all right, let's get to the matter at hand, Kev. The Packers have a pick later in, was it 23? I think Mike Clemens said picking 23 today. So, I mean, it's not going to be, well, I mean, they should get a decent pick, I think. But I thought it'd be fun to review some of the best and worst picks in Packers franchise history. These now, according to, this is from WISN Channel 12 in Milwaukee, but there are other places, NFL, there are places that have it as well. I think this is true. Worst draft pick in Packers history from Michigan State in 1989 in the first round. The second pick overall, Tony Mandrich.
I mean, I feel like that is a broad consensus, right? If you say worst draft pick, who's the one that I feel like most Packers fans are going to think of? I would like to think back as to, I mean, don't get me wrong. Obviously, part of why people think that is because he turned out to not be a very good football player. But like I feel like sometimes too, you need to pause and think, well, like, was it hated from the start? Did the person ever really have a chance? Was it already doomed for failure? Was it great potential for disaster from the beginning? But I do feel like not only for Packers, but for a number of years, teams drafting offensive linemen, I feel like that became the reference of, well, is this just going to be another Tony Mandarich? Not the way you want to see your name used.
But it was big. I mean, it was going to be the second coming of the Packers. I mean, it was such a big deal and a complete bust. Here's a name I completely forgot about. 1981, first round, number 6 pick overall from California. Not Aaron Rodgers, Rich Campbell. Rich Campbell.
I mean, those were some dark years. There's a reason why those were some dark years for the Packers.
People thought he was going to be the heir apparent to Lynn Dickey. Younger Packer fans may find it hard to believe, but there were some dark times for the organization between Bart Starr and Brett Favre. Really, they say.
There were. That was the one brief moment where the Bears could claim some superiority and
absolutely
divisions, but the Packers assisted in that cause with some of their selections and otherwise. Yes,
slightly more recent, according to WISN in Milwaukee, defensive tackle from Tennessee in the 2007 NFL draft in the first round, 16th pick overall, Justin Harrell. No idea. It just didn't go anywhere. So a couple of busts. How about for Bears? Any big busts in Bears history down there?
I try. It brings back a lot of bad memories when you start to kind of go back to look. It reminded me, but really what it amounts to is every quarterback they've tried to play for the last 25 years. Because the list, I'm like, oh, so who were? Because, generally, right? So part of it is when the Bears have been so bad for so long, there's lots of bad draft picks, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be so bad. So it really is. It's the Cade McNown, Mitch Trubisky, like take your pick of your favorite quarterbacks when you figure the best quarterback they've likely had in this long but recent period is Jay Cutler, who they obviously got from another team and otherwise have attempted and failed to use the draft on multiple occasions. Curtis Enos, a running back, is another one that I think a lot of Bears fans would probably lean on. I think really now the bigger question for them is, will last year's draft pick and Caleb Williams become another one of those on the scrap heap? It's funny because they don't necessarily automatically even go to Justin Fields, who would be the most recent quarterback. I guess feeling like maybe that wasn't a complete bust, but the organization has now just become such a bust on all levels that you can't land it back on the quarterback. And that actually, more than anything, when I think about the draft and you mentioned, thinking through some of these old picks, it is a good and fair reminder to some of these players how many other factors are involved in whether or not these draft picks turn out well or not, and that maybe they aren't as good as where they get picked. But boy, not having a lot around them, having bad coaching, bad organization, bad sports medicine staff, and everyone's hurt, like take your pick, can send some of these players that maybe would have been okay down a much worse path they never recover.
That's such a great point, Kevin. And we're talking to Kevin O'Connor, is he your title marketing director at UW?
I'm actually the director of trademark licensing, but anyone.
Licensing.
I'm here. I'm at the Panther Arena. I'm in our beautiful arena team store.
Look
nice
at that.
Panther hoodie over my shoulder. I can throw in a plug for that. There's draft programming. Jordy Nelson's doing a show down here at the Panther Arena on
one of my favorite.
I don't mean like a concert or something. He's doing a draft show, I believe. I'm not involved. I don't know, but.
But that's great because Jordy Nelson, honest to God, one of my favorite Packers of all time. I mean, there's a guy who just went to work every day and just got it done.
I feel like that he would rank, right? I'm as an outsider amongst Packer fans. I have to feel like he would qualify on many people's lists as that. And obviously someone who, because he was so beloved, has been able to keep sort of that media and otherwise profile and sort of stay in the game, which is something we see from a lot of former players these days as well, that there is that second career waiting. Because as we know, while football players are perhaps more well paid than you are, Todd, most football players in the NFL, right, they're not getting lifetime rich without being a quarterback or maybe a receiver on that second or third contract, because the lifespan of an NFL player in the game winds up being so short, and they many times do many other things to remain a presence in. And in the case of Green Bay, sometimes it's that market, sometimes down here in Milwaukee, sometimes both.
You brought that point earlier that sometime, for guys getting drafted tonight and tomorrow, some of these fans are like, oh my gosh, we got the person, the guy who's going to turn this around. But I mean, you look at a guy like Joe Thomas, one of the best Badger players in history, goes to spends his whole career in Cleveland, gets into the Hall of Fame here, year or two ago. Just one of the best players, in my opinion, in NFL history. Never won a Super Bowl because they never really had the parts around him to really make it deep into the playoffs. But there's a Hall of Fame guy that, if he would have had 3 or 4 more Joe Thomases, they probably would have won 2 or 3 Super Bowls.
Well, and what a great sort of counterexample to like, oh, maybe some of these busts turned out to be busts because they didn't have great people around them, right? Then you take someone like Joe Thomas, who didn't always have great people around him and was generally in an organization that, I'll just say from the outside, doesn't always seem that highly thought of by the NFL observers, and yet still was able to have that kind of career on the field, command that level of respect off the field to also get support for something like the Hall of Fame. In many ways, that speaks, to take nothing away from Hall of Famers who win multiple Super Bowls, and they obviously deserve great credit for that. But I think it's a great point, right? And probably also speaks to using his case as an example, right, of having that support and coaching and structure and tools for success around you your entire football career or your entire sports career, what a difference that can make. That by the time maybe he got to a situation in the NFL that maybe wasn't great, he'd been coached up so much by so many great people prior to that, he wasn't going to let that atmosphere or maybe some of those questions derail him. And he gets so much credit for that. But I think I would have to imagine someone like him would fairly say, like, yeah, some of those other folks that, maybe coached me in college or even were around me in high school really set me on the path where I wouldn't let those other things derail.
And now he's doing stuff with he has a Hall of Fame beef. He's making great beef and has a farm. And he's one of those guys who's always successful. I want to get to the Cheese League, Kevin, but according to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, their number 1 Packer draft class was 1958. Jim Taylor, Jerry Kramer, and Ray Nitschke. Not bad.
No, that's not a bad draft class at all. I'd love to know exactly how much scouting went into that draft class, right? Like how much visibility, how much did they know the way that class was going to turn out?
All right, 1 minute, Kev. I know we got to let you go. I appreciate your time. Cheese League, tell people in 1 minute what this was. This was fantastic.
For folks that don't know, right, NFL teams used to use Wisconsin as their home base in the preseason. It was up to 5 or 6 at one point, besides the Packers.
In 1995, yeah.
There you go. The Bears being in Platteville is truly, we joke about it, but that's how I learned of Platteville for the first time and wound up going to school there. But the Chiefs up in River Falls, I know folks that are still Saints fans because they trained in lacrosse. And this day and age, the business has changed, so I understand why it doesn't exist anymore. But it was definitely one of those cool, like Arizona spring training kind of things.
Yeah.
For the NFL. And it was great for these towns across Wisconsin. And I note that tie as we circle back to the draft now, how much the NFL has always played a role in the entire state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, absolutely. The Bears, the Packers, the Jaguars, the Chiefs, and the Saints all in Minnesota across the river in Mankato at one time. So that's the old Cheese League. Kevin O'Connor, we thank you, my friend, at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Stop in their great Panther gift store when you're down there. Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right, cut that a little short, but that's fine. Thanks. I appreciate it, Kevin.
Absolutely. No worries.
Right.
Take care. You got it. Have a good rest of the show.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Not used to it being right on the minute. I should have gone
I know.
To watch for everyone, from hard-hitting local documentaries to lighthearted international comedies, plus special panels, book signings, and even live score performances. The Milwaukee Film Festival is jam-packed. Head to our website, WMDXradio.com, for details.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. Voting proof of citizenship efforts are afoot in Michigan, while voters await the outcome of the federal SAVE Act and a Trump executive order requiring similar restrictions. This despite no evidence of widespread non-citizen voting in Michigan or anywhere else in the U.S. In Michigan, a constitutional amendment which failed to achieve a 2/3 majority in the legislature just received the go-ahead to collect signatures for a citizen ballot initiative instead.
I sent you a thing from the
If
Dan Patrick
organizers
show. It's
meet the
clean. I've
signature
listened to it twice.
requirements, it could
But it's
appear
kind
on
of
the
funny because the
2026
Dan
ballot.
Patrick show is
The
in
Michigan
Green Bay right
proposal
now. And so
requires any
they found
new
this guy that
registering voters to show, quote,
posted
a
one
birth
time or
certificate,
called in.
passport, and or
They call
other
it the
documents,
salary
and
song.
would eliminate the use of
He
sworn
sings it to Valerie.
affidavits
He was
for
drunk. So they
voters
found the
without
guy
proved ID.
in Green Bay and they
Voters
had him
without
on. So we might
citizenship
use that. It's kind of
documents
funny.
could cast a provisional ballot, but must return with the documents within 6 days. Well, that may keep
It is a
20, that's
3:50
zero,
but
Michigan
it's long.
non-citizens from voting. 1 in 9 Americans don't have ready access to citizenship documents, and over 5.8 million Michigan citizens don't own a U.S. passport, according to the Center for American Progress. On the national proof of citizenship front, a federal circuit court ruling on President Donald Trump's March 25th order is expected April 24th, and the SAVE Act is in the U.S. Senate, but unlikely to overcome the filibuster. We have links to more at AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
You want to feel important.
You want to be part of something bigger, something that matters and can help change things.
You want to feel like you belong.
We know. We felt that way too. And that's why we did something about it.
We aren't just Army National Guard soldiers.
We are normal people just like you. But our part-time service in the Army National Guard means we get to be more.
When our communities are in need, we get the chance to stand up and do something about it.
We get to serve in our own region and help the people we call neighbors.
From the lakeshores of Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota,
the fertile fields of Indiana, Illinois, and Iowa, to the wide open plains of
30
North
seconds.
and South Dakota.
we are here for our
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. 8 for the hour of 2 o'clock. No, 3 o'clock. Still getting used to the new time thing. The schedule. Being
You and me both.
Being at 2 to 4 instead of noon to 2. But here we are at 8 minutes before the hour of 3 o'clock. At the top of the hour, ABC, CBS News for you, depending upon which of our great stations you're listening to. Check of sports with our great sports reporter Mike Clemens at Lambeau Field in Green Bay here on this draft day. Check of weather as well. The weather, I don't think the weather is going to be as bad as first maybe thought. Looks like most of the rain coming in Green Bay later tonight, overnight into tomorrow morning. So then it basically what it boils down to is during the draft proper, starts at 7 o'clock tonight and then picks up tomorrow, I think at 6 o'clock, that during the draft proper, it should be dry. So it just might be those times coming and going up there. But, you know, all these people, all the events and everything, I hope they have good weather up there in Green Bay.
At the same time, you know, if it's a little rainy, that's not going to stop anybody.
No, people are going to be lit to put it mildly. If you're looking for the Brewers, by the way, they're playing, getting ready to get underway. The pregame show started about a little over half an hour ago on our stations over the airwaves on terrestrial radio in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. Brewers taking on San Francisco, the Giants. Let one slip away last night. The Brewers lost by a score of 4-2. They go at it again, getting underway right now on the stations that I mentioned. And then Friday, they go down to St. Louis for a 3-game stand against the Cardinals, the dreaded, the evil St. Louis Cardinals. The Brewers Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there. Again, many thanks to Kevin O'Connor. Always great to have Kevin on the show. Just, I mean, when you think about the impact of something, people get ginned up for the draft, and we're making such a big deal about it this year because it happens to be in Wisconsin, in Green Bay. First time ever, probably only going to happen once, at least in my lifetime. We'll see. Always a chance, I guess. So, I mean, it's exciting. Lots of people in the Fox Valley, the Green Bay area. Big economic boom for them. Mike Clemens said earlier, maybe because of weather and other things, maybe not quite as big as some people had hoped, but still an economic boom. And all of the press, national press coming in here, doing podcasts, television shows, radio shows from Green Bay, it does nothing but up the ante in terms of our appearance. I thought this would be fun. I'm a fan of Dan Patrick, the Dan Patrick Show. They're doing their show in Green Bay, the radio show, and they're also streaming, I think, on YouTube. And this is so quintessential Wisconsin. This has been a while back, a few years ago. They had a guy, I think, call in or whatever, and he posted this thing online and to the song of Valerie, and he sings something else. And so they found the guy in Green Bay. Going to play you a little bit of this. We'll see how long we let it run. But here's the Dan Patrick Show, National Dan Patrick Show in Green Bay yesterday.
Now, when we came in this morning, there were people who were lined up from 3:30 in the morning. And Seton goes, I just ran into a guy who I think is the guy who gave us one of the great sound bites in show history. And I go, all right, I'm curious about this. And it's Tom in Wisconsin. So if we can play the salary song, that would be great.
Salary, 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 salary.
This guy posted this online.
Salary, 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 salary.
So Seton runs into Tom in Wisconsin waiting in line, and we didn't know if that's really the same guy. So let's bring up Tom in Wisconsin.
Legend.
It's like seeing Bigfoot. You just walk through and it is real.
All right. So, Tom,
it's a bad idea.
Can you?
It's a bad idea.
Can you
So this
prove
is the guy you
that
put
you
down.
are
So
the
this
guy
is the
who
guy
gave us
that they find who posted this thing, and they brought him on Patrick's show, and the guy's like, it's a bad idea, and Patrick says, so were you a little lit up? And he goes, yeah, on a few Miller Lights, and they get him to kind of recreate the song on the show. But it's just a great example of whether you're a draft person or a football fan or not a football fan, to have these national shows come in. I don't care whether it's Dan Patrick's show or all the ESPN crew. You've got other national, the NFL Network is in town as well. And the amount of, in politics, we call it earned media, quote unquote, where you're getting attention, you're getting media that you're not paying for. And so when you have all these different national media places talking about the Green Bay Packers, talking about Green Bay, there were posts of Booger McFarland, I think, from ESPN was having breakfast with a couple other guys, and they're talking about these places in Green Bay. It does nothing but help the state of Wisconsin and the Green Bay economy. And so I get it. Not everybody is a sports-minded person. Not everybody gets the point of why we're making such a big deal out of this day. But that's part of it. It's what makes Wisconsin great. And as we said earlier in the show, it's not just about sports. It's about the fact that we are proud to have a former coach, a Super Bowl winning coach like Vince Lombardi, who said, I don't look at my players as black or white. I look at them as Packer green. And to me, that's one of the coolest things about this day is to celebrate the legacy, not just the sports part, but the civil rights part of the change that Lombardi and the Packers made in the NFL that still exists to this day in many ways. And hey, the more publicity we can get for that story and for the Packers themselves, I'm all for it. Come on back, a little What's Worse for You in Hour 2, a food edition, and then our own Pete Schwaba, host of Nightlight. Coming up live here in the studio is the Todd Allbaugh Show for an NFL Draft Thursday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
This is 92.7 WMDX Columbus, Madison's home for real news and great conversation. a Civic Media station.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. The convicted mass shooter Robert Crimo has been sentenced to life in prison with no possible parole for the 2022 Chicago area July 4th parade massacre. 7 people were killed. Liz Turnipseed, one of the 50 others injured, says about the sentencing.
I don't have to think about him anymore. I don't have to worry about him anymore. And me and my husband and my daughter can continue to move forward, and I can continue to heal.
Federal judge ordering the Trump administration to help get back another different migrant deported to El Salvador, saying it violated a 2019 court settlement. 2 other federal judges today blocking the Trump administration from making federal funds to schools conditional on eliminating diversity and equality policies. The U.S. and China are talking every day about trade and tariffs, says President Trump. China calling that fake news. This is ABC News.
Local radio for you and your community. It's Civic Media's mission with stations across Wisconsin. Find your favorites at civicmedia.us.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. The latest in the Buc-ee's saga, lawmakers have introduced a bill that would help bring the gas station giant to Dane County. The company wanted to break ground in DeForest last year, but the roads around it need improvements, and the company is willing to pay for half, but the village of DeForest cannot absorb that other half. So now lawmakers have introduced a proposal that would create a tax incremental district, which would help pay for those road improvements. Lawmakers say there's bipartisan support. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel reports a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge is under scrutiny from the FBI for allegedly aiding an undocumented immigrant. After President Donald Trump took office in January, his administration started directing immigration authorities to arrest people in courthouses. Stuart J. Waddles has more.
The paper says the feds are trying to determine if Judge Hannah Dugan obstructed federal enforcement efforts by hiding a defendant in a jury deliberation room. Someone was taken into custody by immigration officials April 18th at the Milwaukee County Courthouse. The arrest marks the 3rd recent ICE detention there. Judge Dugan denies any wrongdoing. State lawmakers are divided, with Democrats praising her for allegedly protecting due process, while Republicans condemn what they say is potential obstruction.
And an update on those otters on the loose. Ophelia and Louie, American river otters, escaped from the new zoo in Green Bay last month. They even had video of them making their getaway. Officials set safe traps and tried to lure them home, and it worked for one of them. Ophelia is back at the zoo, but Louie is still on the lam. Luckily, he was born in the wild, so zoo staff believe he does have the skills to survive on his own. But Ophelia's lonely, so they're reportedly considering getting another male otter to mate with Ophelia. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
The draft is here. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports in Green Bay, where the NFL draft gets underway tonight. Thousands of fans from all around arriving. Network broadcasts. Packers GM Brian Gutekunst on the Rich Eisen Show says with the 23rd pick overall tonight, expect the unexpected.
It's one of those things, I think, and it's so unpredictable, but I do think it's a good draft class, and I think certainly where we're picking, I think there's going to be a really good player that's going to help our football team. And I think we're really focused on making sure we've got a good young team. We're really excited about it, and we're really excited to add, not only a really good player, but a culture guy as well.
Baseball, the Brewers losing last night to the Giants 4-2. Concern for catcher William Contreras, who was injured sliding into third base in the 6th inning.
We'll check him out. We'll see what it is. Yeah, he had like a issue with his side. We're hoping it's nothing more serious than it just, locked up on him a little bit. So we hope it's nothing more serious.
That's Brewers manager Pat Murphy with Sports on Mike Clemens.
Your news, conversations, and a whole lot of fun. It's all on your local Civic Media radio station or the Civic Media app.
Hanging on to the heat today. Under partly sunny skies, temperatures flirt with 70. Got scattered showers rolling in overnight with widespread light rain early tomorrow morning. It'll wind down by the afternoon, but breezy winds keep our high temperatures much cooler, staying stuck to the mid-50s. I'm meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Right now, it's 71 degrees.
We are the keepers of the wild. For more than 80 years, we've been committed to conserving the natural landscapes that define our nation. Nothing is more important than maintaining wild spaces for adventurers to explore and wildlife to thrive. We are America's hunters and target shooters, Together with firearm, ammunition, and archery manufacturers, we've supported the conservation of more than 36 million acres of American wildlands. For more information, visit outdoorstewards.org.
The Maggie Dawn Show.
Check out my war plans. Pete Hegseth talking about first big strike against the Houthis in Yemen on Signal, 2 separate channels. Yes, the one you heard about before with the reporter on it. Oops-a-daisy. And now also his wife, his bro, and his lawyer who magically got hired by the Pentagon. This guy's judgment could not be worse. Do you think Hegseth should probably resign?
Live from the Civic Media World Headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, it's the Todd Allbaugh Show. And now, pursuing truth wherever it may lead, here's your host, Todd Allbaugh.
Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Todd Allbaugh, along with our outstanding producer, Mr. Aaron Zommers, on the board. It is 6 past the hour of 3 o'clock. Welcome into hour number 2 of the big program on Thursday, April 24th, 2025. It is a great day to be Wisconsinite. Partly sunny skies, I would call it, here in downtown Madison at the Civic Media World Headquarters. Zommers, great hour number 1. Many thanks to Mike Clemens for being here. Kevin O'Connor, great first hour on this NFL Draft Thursday. Big day for our listeners at WGBW, our great station up there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, WISS and Oshkosh, the Valley, as they say, because all people from all over that part of the state, as Mike Clemens reported, hotels, Airbnbs, restaurants, Uber, Lyft people, I mean, all these places are going to see an increase in income.
Yeah, definitely. And also thank you to Joe and Madison for calling in the other day with the story about Vince Lombardi to remind us all about that important part of his legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really appreciate that. Coming up a little bit later this hour, at the bottom of the hour, Pete Schwaba, host of Nightlight every evening from 6 until 8 right here on the Civic Media Radio Network. He's in town. Apparently Conrad, his producer, is one of the big VIP hosts up there during the draft.
Yeah, actually, he's the majority owner of the Packers. That is not true.
No, but so Schwab is down here doing his show. This is great. He's going to be here, talk a little bit about his fine program every evening from 6 until 8. And one of the hot new movies, I know he's talked about this before, but Conclave, in this year's cinema, was Conclave, all about picking a new pope.
And that has become relevant again.
Reality with the passing of Pope Francis. A lot of people, Schwab could probably tell us, but I think it was like the number 1 or 2 stream movie this week. Conclave.
And it was already doing well.
Yeah. So I've not seen it yet. Have you?
Not yet, but I plan to.
All right. We'll ask Pete Schwab a little bit about that, and also play What's Worse here in a minute, but wanted to bring you some good news here. Not good news, but important news from our very own Lisa Hale at the Civic Media News Department, avoiding scams during the NFL Draft in Green Bay. The Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection, better known as DACCAP, says any travel, but especially travel to popular locations and events, can increase the risks of identity theft. Consumers should be aware of how identity theft occurs and how to reduce the risks. The DACCAP says surveys, prize giveaways, and online quizzes not affiliated with official NFL draft events can be tempting. However, if they require participants to provide private data, even as simple as name, birthday, contact information, that consumers should be aware and remember that they have no control over what happens to that data after it's submitted. Many of these innocent-seeming collection methods are actually run by individuals and groups for the sole purpose of selling that personal information. So just be aware of that when traveling to and from NFL Draft in Green Bay. DACCAP recommends that consumers make purchases with credit cards. because they offer built-in protections against fraud, allow the user to dispute fraudulent charges, and can be quickly canceled if lost or compromised. So good news there, or some good information there. I think a lot of the places, by the way, as I read at the draft, not even accepting cash. It's cashless. But as Lisa Hale at Civic Media reminds us, better to use a credit card if you have one than a debit card.
Yes, it is a lot easier to get your money back if there's fraud.
Yeah, absolutely. So have fun up there. Have a great time if you're going to the draft. Allow extra time for parking. Might need cash for parking. I don't know.
Might need a lot of cash for
Yeah,
parking.
I mean, Clemens is saying some of those places, some of those spots, $100 a pop a day.
That sounds about right from what you were hearing too. Yeah.
Yeah, because we kind of looked around and figured out logistically it just wasn't going to work. But yeah, one of the places we were looking at was a bar within like walking distance of the thing. It was $100 a day. So bring cash for that, but use a credit card if you're going up to the draft. 11 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Time once again for What's Worse. Let's go.
This or that, this or that. Then, of course, the choice is yours. You can get with this.
Time
or you
once
can
again
get
for
with that.
What's Worse. You get a prize, money involved, nothing to get away. Just your chance to have your voice heard across all 11 news, talk, sports stations in the Civic Media Radio Network. Well, that's not quite true. It's close. Because we have Brewers right now playing on some of them.
It's true most days.
True most days. But right now, the Brewers taking on the Giants in Richland Center, Oshkosh, Racine, Kenosha, Park Falls, and Hayward. No better place, by the way, to have your product, your voice heard than on the Civic Media Radio Network. Go to civicmedia.us to find out how you can be an advertiser. All right. Timely indeed, as Mike Lucas is fond of saying. Because a lot of people, I think, whether you're going to the draft, whether you're watching the draft tonight, probably, first of all, you'll be smarter than me because you'll have a way to grill your brats. For those that were not with us in the first hour, I brought in all of the accoutrements here to the studio. If you're watching on the stream, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, you can see we got Clement's beef franks, not hot dogs, but beef franks.
They're hot dogs.
We got buns, ketchup, mustard. Brought some spotted cow. I thought this would be fun and funny to grill, bring in a George Foreman grill and grill during the show because we got Schwaba here. We make him a hot dog. But no, I looked for an hour in Madison and I could not find a George Foreman grill.
Todd set up everything to tailgate in the studio except the grill.
This is the way it goes. But anyway, a lot of people are going to be using onions on your said brat, hot dog, burger, whatever. So today's category, and what's worse, onions or no onions? Simple. Onions or no onions? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Again, I know I say this a lot during this segment. It depends.
It really does.
It depends for me. What's worse, onions or no onions? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. You can also text us at the Civic Media app. If you don't have it, download it today on your Apple or Android device. Simply go to your search engine at your app store. Type in, or your search bar, I guess I should say. Type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C, Media. It'll pop up a cute little CM logo. Click on that. Takes less than a minute to download. It is free. It's what CBS's Gail King calls a deal. The Civic Media app. And the cool thing is, not only do you participate during our little bit here, you can also listen to all of our stations, news, sports, weather, and music, anywhere you go, anytime, for free. And I hear tell there's another big summertime text-to-win contest in the pipeline.
Oh, you know it. There's always one of those in the pipeline
right
here.
And so get a head start because you can win fabulous prizes, but you have to have the Civic Media app to do it. So
Todd may not have been able to find a grill for the hot dogs today, but Civic Media always has a text-to-win contest on the back burner.
That is my that's the prize I want for our summertime text-to-win.
A George Foreman grill.
A George Foreman grill. That's exactly what I want. Because apparently they're difficult to find these days.
I still want the blender.
All right, what's worse, onions or no onions? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Brian in Madison, listening on WMDX, says onions, always.
I think that means that
he
no
likes
onions is worse.
All right.
That he always wants onions.
He always wants onions. All right. Liz, listening in Saukville on WAUK, says no onions is definitely the worst. I pile them on. Oh, all right. Very good. Kurt in Madison, listening on WMDX. I live for when Vidalia onions come out. How can anyone not like a Vidalia onion?
They are good.
Wasn't that a song at one time by Billy Ray Cyrus? Vidalia. My heart's on fire.
Maybe not exactly, but close enough.
No, it wasn't. It was something else. Well, Kurt, obviously a big onion lover. What's worse, onions or no onions? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842, or you can text us on the Civic Media app. Zombers. Oh, here, one more. Kurt says, you're not a Wisconsinite if you don't like onions.
I mean,
kind of sort of fair.
Personally, I find them delicious. But it is weird how common they are for being so polarizing. And even then, people who like onions, do you want them grilled or raw,
Right.
Or what kind of onion? But for me, please don't crucify me. I'm going to say onions are worse.
Onions are worse? Why?
Not for any taste reasons. I would love to have onions on everything. My digestive system does not appreciate when I have onions on everything. I have been informed by my doctor to cut back on them.
Really?
So,
He has told you to cut back on onions. All right. Well, I did not bring onions for the hot dogs today. Sorry. Matt Middleton, listening on WMDX, says onions are worse. Onions is worse as whenever I order stuff with them when they're overcooked and heaped on if they aren't, because I could always use some hot sauce. So he's kind of divided, it sounds like. And I'm a little bit with Kurt because, or rather Matt in Middleton. On like a salsa, well, of course, I like raw onions in my salsa things, especially a homemade salsa like that. But like I'm not like a big raw onion guy on a hot dog or a raw onion guy on a brat. I would like grilled onions for that because
you'd still rather have onions than none.
I'm kind of when I was a kid, I didn't like onions at all. I think just because of the strong taste.
It is a strong taste
when they're raw. I'm not a big, unless it's like in a salsa, I'm not big on raw onions. But like a grilled onion or a sautéed onion that complements whatever else it's with, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, when I was younger, my sisters and I would just like caramelize a bunch of onions and mushrooms to go along with whatever else we were eating. But we'd always make extra because it's like, this is what we're really here for.
Right. Also, I learned this years ago. Like you take a clove of garlic and then slice it in half, a whole head. I'm sorry, slice it in half. Put a little olive oil on the top of it, and slow cook it in the oven, like a roasted garlic like that. And then it becomes so mild and creamy you can almost eat it right out of the skin. It's a much milder taste. So I think what are onions? Are they legumes? Is that it? I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I'll look it up.
But they're always more mild after you cook them. What's worse, onions or no onions? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Tyler in Wisconsin Rapids, listening on WVH. Geez, Todd.
WFHR.
Thank you. Too many call letters in my head. Thank you. Great station, FHR up there in Wisconsin Rapids. Tyler says you gotta have onions. The trick to keep them under control is to hollow out the bun a bit. Onions and nothing else. Now, there are people out there that will eat an onion like an apple. That's too much for me.
I've never done that, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's too much for me. 855-752-4842. Onions or no onions? Give us a call. We'll put you on the line. That's our What's Worse for today. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Come back, take a look at the drive time traffic around the state of Wisconsin, and get ready for our friend Pete Schwaba, host of Nightlight, here at the bottom of the hour. It's a draft edition, NFL style, in Green Bay of the Todd Allbaugh Show, right here across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Citizens Real News and Great Conversation, 92.7 WMDX.
Hey, at the end of the day, everybody wants the same thing from their mattress. A good night's rest, am I right? It's not
Don't worry,
rocket
nobody's
science.
listening
You don't
anyway.
need a physics genius to make you a futuristic space bed. You just need someone to listen to what you want and who knows the materials that will get you there. And you might even be surprised to learn that that someone could be living right next door. At Verlo, we're your friendly neighborhood mattress genius. American made, locally crafted. Welcome to Verlo.
The Comfy Cauldron Slice of Heaven Market is back Saturday, May 17th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 210 Main Street in DeForest. Come see makers, bakers, and healers show their talents. Free entry, parking, and gifts available for those who walk in the Comfy Cauldron doors.
Blind Shot Social Club, a perfect blend of cool, casual dining, indoor golf with space for events, craft cocktails, and non-alcoholic drinks too. A hidden gem on Madison's East Side. Blind Shot Social Club, open to everyone. BlindShotSocialClub.com.
Spring is here. Make your lawn the envy of the neighborhood with EB3 Landscaping. With 15 years of top quality service, they treat your property like their own. 608-209-2185 for expert care and a vibrant tomorrow.
This Mother's Day, say I love you with flowers as beautiful as she is. Waterloo Blooms hand arranges fresh, stunning bouquets with care, delivered straight to her door in Waterloo, Madison, and beyond, with same-day delivery available. Order now at waterlooblooms.com.
At Chance Design Build, we provide remodeling done well with love. Our commitments extend beyond our workplace and your home to support our community. We judge people by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, and we believe all humans deserve quality, publicly funded education, childcare, and health care. But what do you believe in? At Chance Design Build, we believe every person must have the opportunity to thrive. If you're thinking about remodeling your home, go to chadsdesignbuild.com to learn more about our commitments to you.
Pursuing truth wherever it may lead and having fun doing it. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network. It is draft day, NFL draft at the Green Bay Packers home at Lambeau Field. Gets underway later on tonight. I think the first pick just after 7 o'clock. Looking forward in nervous anticipation to that. Our very own sports reporter Mike Clemens there at Lambeau Field will bring you the Packers pick a little bit later tonight, pick 23rd in the first round. So it will take a while. But Clemens will have all the updates for you from Gutekunst, from whomever the Packers pick tonight. Looking forward to that. We thank Mike Clemens for all of his work up there at Green Bay over this draft. 23 now past the hour. Take a quick check of roads across the state of Wisconsin. According to 511wi.gov, thought I'd take a peek in. According to the state website, DOT, no major delays right now around Green Bay. So things are going smoothly. I mean, maybe some normal traffic on Lombardi or whatever, but in terms of major roadways around the Green Bay area, nothing major to report right now. Move down to southeast Wisconsin, closer to our WAUK listenership in the Waukesha, Milwaukee area. On the western side, I-41, just south of Menominee Falls, down through Butler. Southbound, expect delays there. Also northbound from I-41 up to I-90, 175, or 190, 175. Expect northbound traffic on 41, a little backed up there. A couple of shoulder roads. Try that again, Todd. Cars off on the shoulder of the road. And also closer to Milwaukee proper from the intersection or from that exchange way there of I-41 up to 190 on 43 North. So I-43 North, slow going there. The normal daytime commute there as always. So pack your patience, as they say, and allow a lot of extra time. Otherwise, no major road incidents around the state of Wisconsin at this hour. We're in the middle of what's worse right now. The category for today, what's worse, onions or no onions? 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. Tyler in Wisconsin Rapids saying you got to have the onions. The trick to keep them under control, I guess we read that one, is to hollow them out in the bun a bit. I've never done that. Never done that.
I've done that not for onions on like a burger, but I've definitely done it on subs.
Really?
And some restaurants will do that.
Yeah.
Sub places, sub shops, they'll scrape out a little bit. They call it the guts of the bun.
Guts. All right.
Although sloppy joes, I always do that because if you don't, they just go everywhere. They really are sloppy. But I like push in the top of the hamburger bun before putting the meat in there so that I can actually get a reasonable amount in it and not have it explode as soon as I pick it up.
Food tips from Aaron Zommers. I love it. I guess, I don't know, this is hard for me because too many, like on a pizza, for instance, there's a balance there, a real balance. So Paisan's Pizza in Madison, for years and years, they had exactly the right balance of onions versus no onions. And so it had just enough flavor, but not like where it was just gross. And again, I'm not a big raw onion guy. I like them cooked. So I guess if I had to choose, I would say too many onions are worse versus not at all.
Fair enough. I mean, me too. Yeah.
All right, we'll play another round tomorrow. Back more into a little bit more of the normal talk as far as Peter Rapine, our old friend Peter Rapine, is going to be here with a week in review. The wacky and wild human behavior tomorrow at 3:30 in our new time slot. So Peter's kind enough to adjust with us into the new time time slot. So
I'm very glad about that.
Yeah, me too. And also we'll get back a little bit more into the political side of things tomorrow. But I thought it was appropriate we take a day here and talk more about the draft going on in Green Bay. Again, a big economic boom for the Fox Valley and the Green Bay area. And kind of cool, I think, to have Wisconsin, all these national news, talk, sports programs, radio, television, streaming. It does nothing but up the ante in terms of our earned media for the state of Wisconsin. So I hope the Packers do well tonight. 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842 if you want to call in and talk a little bit draft or what's worse, I guess. We didn't really, Kevin and I got talking about draft picks of the past and only give slight mention to the Cheese League. And this was really cool if you grew up in the late 80s and 90s. And something that, quite frankly, was really pushed for by former Governor Tommy Thompson was called the Cheese League. And at its peak in 1995, had 6 NFL teams. And they were drawn by the milder summers, escape from distractions at home, great facilities, and they came to college towns in Wisconsin to prepare for the NFL season. The league had its strongest participation throughout the 1990s with 5 teams, peaking in 1995 with 6, thanks to the participation of the Jacksonville Jaguars for a single year. The proximity allowed teams to practice with and scrimmage against one another, allowing for a nice change of pace and more realistic preparation for the regular season, which that was really from an NFL organization standpoint, because you hear about this all the time, right? Mike Clemens will tell us about, so-and-so of the Packers got injured during a scrimmage in training. Well, here you got to actually beat up on another team. So, you might have the Packers at St. Norbert and De Pere, and they would go down to Platteville and play the Chicago Bears. The Jaguars for a season were at UW Stevens Point, and they might go across the state and play the Kansas City Chiefs at River Falls.
I imagine that also gives you a little bit more information going into the season.
A little bit. I think it was just a better way to assess the people that you had on your team.
That's fair.
Against true competition. And again, they weren't necessarily always going full strength, but it's kind of like, hey, how does this guy size up? How quick is this guy against real competition on the other side? And then the Vikings were in Mankato, and the New Orleans Saints were at UW Lacrosse, the old cheese league of the 90s, until they said, yeah, we should probably go back to our home state. We'll come back and talk with one of our hometown guys, Pete Schwaba, on the other side. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Here, you're listening to 92.7 WMDX.
You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Milk production is on the move again, both here in Wisconsin and across the country. I'm Charity Seebecker for the Midwest Farm Report, and while the numbers may seem small, even slight changes can impact our markets. Katie Burgess, Dairy Market Advisor with Everegg, helps us break down what the latest USDA milk production report means for producers.
Overall, USDA reported that U.S. milk production was up 0.9%, which actually was a little bit below what people were expecting for the report, given that it was up 1% in February. But, I mean, those are February and March here are still some of the biggest gains we've seen in more than a year's time. So slowly we're seeing more cows added to the herd, milk production pick up a bit as well. And when we look at Wisconsin's been more of a mixed bag as of late. So in January and February, milk production was down a little bit in Wisconsin. It was up 0.1% here in March. And so from that perspective, you know, we've been pretty flat here in Wisconsin.
Once again, that's Dairy Market Advisor Katie Burgess with Everegg along with us. I'll have a look at your closing markets right after this.
It's still sinking in. All the medals that Bavaria Sausage brought home from the German Butchers Association competition. Scott Stoll, one of the owners of Bavaria Sausage, says they walked away with 49 medals, 30 that were gold, and all the products they submitted, something you can purchase today.
You know, we picked products right out of the freezer, right out of the deli case, right out of our coolers. And that's what we brought. We did not do a special batch of any of this. We didn't know, but we had a feeling that we'd do pretty well with the Germans on this one.
That's Scott Stoll, one of the owners of Bavaria Sausage, capturing 49 medals at the recent German Butcher Association Meat Products Competition.
Sure, sometimes
recognizing the quality that started more than 60 years ago with Fred Bull. Bavaria Sausage. Shop those award-winning meats today at the corner of Nesbitt Road, Fitzroder Road in Fitchburg. Open Monday through Friday, 9 until 7, Saturday 9 until 1, or always open online. BavariaSausage.com.
Whatever. No, I could work with that.
At your
Absolutely.
closing markets. Cash corn closed
I was
at
gonna- I'll take-
$4.77
see, I was
and
gonna
a
have a
quarter. That
George
was up
Foreman
5 and a
grill
quarter
in here. We're
cents.
gonna grill during
New
the
crop
show.
corn
I
closed
couldn't
at
find the damn George
4.56 and a
Foreman
half,
grill anywhere.
up 2
What?
cents.
I know.
Oh, that
Beans closed
sucks.
at 10.53, up 12 and 3/4.
Oh,
And
that's
new crop
nothing.
beans
I have
closed
nothing
at
to grill.
10.35 and a half, up 8
sorry to
cents.
see George
And
Foreman
July
pass
wheat
away.
closed
I
at
know, right?
4 and a half,
Me
up
too.
a penny. May Class 3 milk
So,
contract is trading at 18.30 a
conclave
hundredweight.
draft.
That is down 35 cents. And June milk is
What's coming up
trading
on
at
your show tonight?
17.16,
Yeah,
down 29 cents. Barrel cheese closed
Yeah,
at
I'll plug tonight and
169.
tomorrow if
That
you
was
don't
down
mind.
9.5 cents.
I'm
40-pound
pre-recording
black
tomorrow
cheese
night
closed
right
at
after this.
170.
Okay, cool.
That was down 6 cents. And the AA butter had no change and closed today at 232 and a half. For the Midwest Farm Report, I'm Charity Seebecker.
Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Hanging on to the heat today. Under partly sunny skies, temperatures flirt with 70. Got scattered showers rolling in overnight
How's the
with
new clock?
widespread light rain
You like
early
it?
tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
It'll wind down by the afternoon, but
I think it
breezy
makes more
winds keep our
sense in
high
my
temperatures
opinion.
much
Yeah,
cooler,
totally.
staying stuck
but
to the
just
mid-50s.
not quite used to the ins and outs,
I'm
yeah.
meteorologist Brittany Merlot. Currently, it's 72.
Reviewing the week's legal news with a friend of the court.
Well, I'm looking forward to Saturday morning. I haven't missed.
Do you want to
outstanding?
take a call about the cheese league?
Yeah, we can take a quick
It
call
has
from LA
been a
Tom.
week
Sounds good.
in the areas of law and government and the aspiration for justice in America. As always, I am delighted. I am honored that you have chosen to spend some of your weekend time with me in discussion.
Amicus, a law review with Jim Santel. Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. The John and Gordy Show.
We have as our special guest Mike McCabe.
What they are trying to do is finance $4 trillion worth of tax cuts for the rich. We've got a whole bunch of billionaires who don't pay taxes,
Got
and
about
we
30
are deporting
seconds.
people who do pay taxes.
Yeah.
So, I said
Sometimes I wanna be a picture director. I'm trying to make the world understand by making groovy movies. By making groovy movies.
Welcome back to the Allbaugh Show on the Civic Video Ready Network. 35 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock. Going to talk movies here in a minute with our colleague and friend Pete Schwab. First of all, a quick traffic update for you, particularly for our listeners on WMDX in Madison. If you're headed down towards the Beloit area, be aware that Wisconsin 213, that road is now closed in both directions from Town Line Avenue to Richer Street due to a crash. You're going to need to use an alternate route there. So particularly, let's say, might be coming up from Illinois or drive home, might be listening to us on the Civic Media app and get to Beloit. If you intend to take Wisconsin Highway 213, that road is now closed in both directions. Otherwise, around the Milwaukee area, the normal drive time delays right now. No other major roadways have complete closures at this time. And interesting, Pete Schwab, where you are from, the host of Nightlight. Well, not from there. That's where you do your show at WGBW, the great station there. So far, they say no major traffic delays. Pete, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
It's my volume. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We've got weird controls here. Sorry.
There we go.
Up, down.
Yeah, I feel like I was.
Is that too high?
No, that's perfect.
420 is past. So I guess so.
Not by long. Though,
Not by much. No.
Yeah, there's a lot going on up in Green Bay. I think that's why they brought me down here, because there's so much craziness. And Conrad took a vacation.
That's your producer
to go to the draft. Yeah. Right, I just say Conrad because everybody in the state should know who Conrad is. But Conrad, the producer of Nightlight, took some time off to go to the draft. So I'm down here chilling, away from the crowds.
Right,
love it. Doing the show.
And we toyed around going up there, but after looking at all the security and all that kind of stuff, we're just like, maybe plan better next time, Todd.
I can't even imagine how they're fitting all those people. I remember last year in Detroit, they had 250,000 people. They couldn't even fit them all in Ford Field. They had to do it like staggered. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes in Green Bay. But I know they're loving it. They're very excited. So.
And the weather looks like it's going to be okay, at least. So that's good.
Right.
855-752-4842. We were talking about the Cheese League. Remember the Cheese League, Pete? Were you around then? Back in 1995. It was when I was going to school at Platteville. I have not accomplished much in my life, Pete. But as far as I know, I still hold the record for number of programs sold at the Bears training camp at UW Platteville.
Oh, no way.
In one day.
Well, first of all, I want to say, if you haven't done much with your life and you're the host and I'm a guest on your show, what does that say about me?
No, not at all.
Yeah, I remember when the Bears used to go up there. Chicago is my hometown, and I'm a Bears fan, a long-suffering Bears fan. So I remember when they were in Platteville, and that must have been kind of fun.
It was fantastic because it was the last couple of years of Ditka and the first year of Wanstead, and you would be 6 feet away from Ditka, you'd be on a golf cart going around, and Jim McMahon used to just wreak havoc downtown at night.
Isn't it funny, like, when you get older, like, I used to like all of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm older, I have such low tolerance. If someone's an idiot, I don't care if they were on my team. I cannot like them now. But back then, it's like, oh, Jim McMahon, but, like, now I'd probably go.
He was a legend in Platteville.
Yeah, I bet he was.
He really was.
He went to Brigham Young, and I think he set some records up there, too, that have nothing to do with football.
I bet he did. Let's go to the phone lines quickly. 855-752-4842. Go out to Los Angeles we go. L.A. Tom. L.A., you had a couple of thoughts on the Cheese League.
Yeah, Todd. I think part of the reason why they picked all those areas in Wisconsin on the campuses that they did was because these were small towns.
Right.
River Falls, Platteville, De Pere. They were all small towns, so really and truly the players could not get as distracted during the 2 days or 3 days, and they'd have to focus on football. Whereas if it would have been a bigger city, then they may have gone out more. If they'd gone out more, they would have gotten in trouble. So I think part of the reason of doing the Cheese League was really to make sure, everyone kind of stayed more focused on football and not the other extracurricular activities that got in trouble.
I think that was I definitely think that was the intent. And I think to some degree, how much trouble can you get in Platteville versus, I don't know, Kansas City. But again, having been going to college there at the time, there were quite a few stories of some of these guys, because I mean they were well known. They were NFL legends, and they could and they wouldn't pay for a drink or a meal, and they'd have people just worshiping them.
They just have to stay in the dorms and play and do beer bongs or something, right? It's like, that's pretty harmless, right?
Let's go quickly to McFarland on WMDX. Tom, back-to-back Toms.
Whoa.
This is Tom and McFarland. Tom, thanks for calling. What do you got?
Thanks for taking my call. And, I got a fun story in regards to the Cheese League.
Yeah.
I was up in Stevens Point back when they first started doing their expansion in order to attract an NFL team for the Cheese League. And some friends and I, we were playing, some football, and we noticed a group of business guys, definitely not pointers, that were kind of walking around scoping out the fields and whatnot. And one of them came up to us. Now, I'm originally from Chicago, so I immediately knew who this guy was, and I was starting to, get my little girl on. And he just started throwing the football around with us, talking to us about how we like point, what we think about the fields, et cetera, et cetera. That was Walter Payton.
Oh, wow.
That was back when he was looking at, exactly. I can actually say I played football with Walter Payton.
Incredible.
But he was part of the St. Louis outfit.
That's
my
amazing.
best story as far as the Cheese League. Yeah, I had a great time.
John Madden still says Walter Payton is the greatest football player ever because he could throw, kick, run, block, catch. I mean, best all around anyway. That was my boyhood idol growing up.
Oh, absolutely. Tom McFarland, thanks for calling in. There, great story. And Pete Schwab, I think when you start talking about, and again, I know that sports isn't everybody's cup of tea, let alone football. But when we talked a little bit earlier, one of our callers to a lot of our shows, Joe and Madison, pointed this out a couple of days ago when Matt Rothschild was filling in the 4 to 6 time slot, that there was only one black player for the Green Bay Packers when Vince Lombardi became coach.
Right.
And he did so much to insist, not just in the Packers organization, but in Green Bay in general. You're letting all my players eat here. You're treating all my players with respect, or none of us are going to be here. And I think that, again, as if though we needed one, yet another reason that we can be proud to be Green Bay Packers fans.
Absolutely. You can't, I mean, I appreciate the rivalry so much. I mean, I look forward to those 2 Sundays every year when they square off. And even when the Bears aren't good, I'm like, maybe they can steal one. And they have stolen a couple. They did in January, and before that, it's been about 6 years. But it's such a great rivalry. And but it is better when both teams are good.
Yes, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
But they're both great organizations. I mean, the Hallis family, Curly Lambeau, Vince Lombardi, and I just interviewed someone on Nightlight, Sam Vanisi, whose brother hired Vince Lombardi.
Really?
And they're trying to get his brother into the Hall of Fame. You should talk to him, Todd. I think his name is Jerry Vanesi. Was a rock star executive for the Bears and helped build the '85 Bears. His brother helped build the Packers back in the day. He was like 10 years older than him. Yeah, and Sam, who was on the show, is a veterinarian. So he stayed away from the front offices of NFL teams, but he was a great interview, and they're trying to get his brother into the Hall of Fame just because of some of the moves he made as an administrator. You know?
Football and sports has always been a great subject for movies, speaking thereof. And your show, I mean, I'm sorry, I know it's trite and cliche, but Rudy is still one of my favorite all-time sports films of all time.
Yeah, it's hard to go. I mean, underdog stories are just they're just the best stories. I mean, because I think part of it is because of the little victories they get in the movies when they're not unrealistic. Like Rudy wasn't All-American. Rocky didn't knock out Apollo the first time. He just wanted to go the distance, and that makes it plausible, and that makes us root for these guys in the movies.
I couldn't agree more. And you leave just feeling better. I don't know about yourself in some way. That to me is still the magic of cinema and movies, when you could go in feeling one way and come out feeling another because you've experienced something.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another underdog story. The movie Hoosiers, of course.
Yeah.
So in college, I think I told this story recently on Nightlight, but a bunch of friends, we had a 6 foot and under league intramural basketball team, and we were in the championship game, and we didn't deserve to be there. I think the other team, I don't know what happened, but we got to the championship game. We're out the night before doing shots and drinking at our favorite college bar, And we're like, we're going to go home and we're going to watch Hoosiers. And then we're going to get some sleep and go beat these guys. And we get home at 2 a.m. and put Hoosiers on. There's like 5 guys in my room. We all fall asleep sometime during Hoosiers and miss the game completely. So that's the danger with those movies is you feel so great when you're watching them. Like you watch Rocky and then you go do push-ups for 2 days and you overdo it and you can't move for a month and then it's the end of your, underdog story. But they're great movies for sure.
Oh, it really is. Another great movie that I have not seen yet, and we'll be careful because I heard there's a twist in it. Conclave, the big show, the big movie about selecting a pope, did well, was up for an Academy Award or 2, and now making a big comeback after the passing of Pope Francis.
Yeah, they're streaming the heck out of that and 2 popes, which I still have never seen. But Conclave was really good. Yeah, it was. I mean, there is a twist in it, and some people say, "Well, I didn't like the twist. I don't think they needed a twist." The twist made it interesting for me. I mean, it's interesting how they choose the Pope.
Yeah,
and they're phenomenal actors in the movie: John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci, Ray Fiennes, Isabella Rossellini. But to me, that made it an Oscar-worthy movie, like with a little something that catches you off guard. But it's a really good movie, yeah.
Isn't John Lithgow just, I mean, to me at least, one of the great actors of our time? This guy could play anything and plays it fantastically.
He's a great actor. I mean, I like all 3 of them. I love Stanley Tucci. And, but yeah, Lithgow is great. I will say the only role I didn't love him in was when he was on Third Rock from the Sun.
Really?
Well, I thought he was he's such a good actor when he's just acting and doing drama. And he plays it small. But I mean, I don't know if you know the comedian Andy Kindler, but he had a joke at the Montreal Comedy Festival in like 1997. He had a joke that says John Lithgow overacts so much he ends up in another room. But that was just him doing that character. I mean, I'm sure he was great at it, but he's a phenomenal actor. Yeah,
he really is. I actually really liked him in Third Rock.
Most people do. I mean, he's great.
I don't know. I just thought it was just because it was so out of character for him,
right?
As an actor to be in that role, to your point, because he's played so many great dramatic roles, and to see him do comedy, I thought it made it funnier to me.
You know what he's great in, Todd? If you haven't seen I don't know if it's a remake, but of what's the show? Not Ironside. It's a reboot on Max, starring the guy from The Americans. I'm totally blanking. I slept about 2 hours last night. But John Lithgow plays his mentor. I'll find out. Because it's a really great show. And it's a reboot. And it's a period piece in the 30s in L.A. And it's just great. I'll
Fantastic.
Find out the
So you can get all kinds of hot tips on entertainment, whether you're watching them on streaming or on movies, every evening from 6 until 8, right here on the Civic Media Radio Network on Nightlight. We are here with our friend Pete Schwaba. And if you want to call and ask a question about a movie, give us a call. 855-752-4842. 855-752-4842. 1 minute left. Let's give a tease. We'll come back and talk more about it. Who do you have on tonight, Pete?
Tonight I have the comedian and author Rich Scheidner, and Rich is going to do the popcorn pick of the week that you did so brilliantly a few weeks ago. You've set the bar high, pal. I'll just say that. But Rich is going to come on, then he's going to tell some stories. He has all these great stories about comedians, going back to Henny Youngman, even the first Civil War comic.
A Civil War comic?
Yeah. Rich is a legend. He's been in the business forever, Tonight Show, Letterman, and now he's written books, and he's going to share some fun stories with us tonight. And then WRJN's Don Rosen joins me after that.
Don Rosen?
Yeah.
The legend.
The legend.
Who looks much younger than his age and acts like it, too.
He's 31. But somehow he pulls it off. I don't know.
All right, come on back. Warren Pete Schwaba. It's the Allbaugh Show right here for a Draft Thursday. NFL, not fear, on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Although Todd does have beer behind him.
With Civic Media. Log on civicmedia.us/advertise.
There's also a Nightlight beer in the fridge over there.
Oh, we should have got that. We should have got that.
It's a quart. It's a huge can because it's a quart of it.
You could drink it throughout the course of the show tonight, Aaron.
And plenty of other items.
Might have to stay here for a while afterwards.
Family and friends. Madison's favorite for glass, gifts, and vape. Ignite Glass and Gifts. Monona Drive, Williamson Street, and Aldana Road. Plus Ignite Glass and Gifts.
People next to me? Yeah.
Herbal Aspects has landed.
I fell
That's
asleep
right.
and then I woke
Madison's
up.
go-to cannabis destination now has a brand new location in Sun Prairie.
Wait, 4 locations? That's a high level of convenience.
With 3 Madison locations and now Sun Prairie, a great cannabis experience is always close by. Our expert staff is here to help, whether you walk in, call, or order online. Mention Radio 420 and get a special discount. So stop by
Radio
Herbal
420?
Aspects in Sun Prairie because great cannabis isn't just a pipe dream.
Nice. I'm rolling over now.
Herbal Aspect.
This is Chad Spate. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed by the hatred and misinformation that consumes our world, but I also know that we cannot build a house of justice and inclusion on a foundation of hatred and lies. We have to practice what we preach. At Chad's Design Build, we confront injustice the same way we confront a poorly built home, with love, compassion, intelligence, and persistence. We engage our community the way we engage our clients, with honesty and humility and the dogged determination that we can do better. Chad's Design Build, remodeling done
really
well
good.
with love.
Awesome.
I'm Dan Schaefer. Let's recombobulate. In recent months, Milwaukee health officials have uncovered significant lead hazards in city schools, mostly due to lead-based paint. Several schools have now been closed as the problem has been found to be more widespread. In late March, city officials formally requested help from the CDC, but in doing so, they learned that the CDC's entire lead program had been eliminated by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This is a major problem. Children in the state's largest city are being exposed to lead poisoning at their schools, and the Trump administration is not only refusing to provide assistance, they are eliminating the entire lead program that would help in cases like this one. Now, state and local officials must step up to do something for these
by
kids,
John Nolan?
since Trump and
okay.
RFK Jr. are gutting federal support.
Nice.
Milwaukee's children deserve better.
Find all of Dan's work at the recombobulation area and on our website at civicmedia.us.
That's nice.
This message is
My son
sponsored
lived over
by
there on Doty Street.
ListCaregiver.com.
the
Now
last
is the
couple of
time to
years,
start a meaningful
which is
career as a
20 on the other
caregiver.
side
Make a
of the lake.
real
It's not
difference in
close, but,
people's lives.
it's a nice area.
ListCaregiver.com
Always
gives you
focused on
2
30
great
seconds.
options for free.
beautiful.
Train for the
Thank you.
in-demand caregiver.
Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show on the Civic Media Radio Network, where it is 8 before the hour of 4 o'clock. At the top of the hour, CBS or ABC News, depending upon which of the great stations across Wisconsin you're listening to. A little weather update for you. Our great sports reporter is at the draft at Lambeau Field in Green Bay. He's going to be reporting there all day and night. Packers have the 23rd pick in the first round. Mike will have an interview with that individual and also Gutekunst as well. All your Packer information for our great sports reporter, Mike Clemens, all draft long. And then another edition of the Maggie Dawn Show every afternoon, now from 4 until 6, followed by our guest right now, the host of the great evening program, Nightlight, every night, 6 until 8, our very own Pete Schwaba.
Great to be here.
Yeah, look at the people cheering. The whole
Sounds
works.
like a bunch of kids.
I know.
Am I hanging around outside the
Grade
kindergartens? I don't know what you're trying to say there, Aaron.
We're a family-friendly radio network. That's all.
My wife's a kindergarten teacher, so I immediately recognize little
voices,
children yelling.
yeah.
It's great to be here. Thanks for
Well,
having
it's
me.
great to be here. Quick weather, sports. It's time for Todd to go. It's time for me to crack a beer behind me.
Oh,
Traffic.
yeah.
I'm not used to being in drive time yet, Pete. A
Yeah,
couple of
right.
traffic updates for you. Wisconsin 213, pardon me, just outside of Beloit. So if you're listening on WMDX in Madison heading down there, be aware that Wisconsin Highway 213 completely closed in both directions due to an accident there. No major delays right now around the greater Green Bay area, although around Little Chute right now, I-41 south, about 6/10 of a mile beyond the ramp from Richmond Street. Expect a lane closure there due to a disabled vehicle, but otherwise all other traffic in the Fox Valley on time. And then around the greater Milwaukee area, the normal drive time traffic, 94, and in particular Highway 41, north and south, just north of 94. Expect delays in both directions right now. Pete, let's go to the phone lines quickly. One more caller, 855-752-4842. Dick in Madison, listening on WMDX. We're talking talking earlier about the Cheese League of the 1990s when other NFL teams besides the Packers used to have their summer training in Wisconsin. Dick, you wanted to talk about the Cheese League. What do you got?
Oh, yeah, I did. But also, Pete, I just love your show. I listen to it second generation in the morning 2 days a week because I got to be up early. But
thanks, Dick. Appreciate it.
We used to do a family camp outing, and it was usually late summer when NFL started, and it was always down in Cobb, Wisconsin, at little Black Hawk Lake.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of the brother-in-laws, we hop in the car to go to watch a Bears practice. And I swear to God, guys, it was what a great afternoon.
Yeah.
Matsui looked like that's not Matsui. That is Fred Flintstone come to life. I mean, he has no neck. None.
Yeah.
And then you had the fridge, and later in the day we saw him in downtown Platteville. We were walking around, and here they go buying a car, and it was fridge, and everybody starts yelling at him, and he turns his head. In his head, he's looking out the window of the car like a television.
Uh-huh.
His head covered the whole window of the car. I mean, we're looking at this guy and going, "What?"
Yeah.
And we saw him but every character on that team you had to love it. I mean, Buddy Ryan as a defensive coordinator.
They were fun.
Yeah. Great.
Oh, it was fun.
It was
Even
great
for a Packer fan.
Right.
One last thing.
Yeah, quick.
There was a worse draft pick than Tony Mandridge. It wasn't ours. How about Brian Bosworth?
All right,
that's a bad one,
bad
too.
Pick.
Wow.
That's a
I remember
bust.
watching the game. He
That's
got run over by Bo Jackson in a Monday night game. Just waylaid.
I remember that. Actually.
Appreciate the call, Dick. Thank you so much.
It's so funny. Remember the fridge? Like, he's 310 pounds. Like that. He was a monster then. He'd be undersized now.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he was a monster back then. Like his size, and he could slam dunk a basketball at 6'1" and 300 pounds. The guy was a freak athlete, but he would be undersized now.
We
Crazy.
played a little bit earlier because of my old broadcast partner, Kevin O'Connor, also from Chicagoland originally, and we played a little Super Bowl shuffle.
Oh,
some of the great music of the 90s.
You talked about Mike Clemens.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons the only thing I missed this week is that Mike says he's working out of WGBW. Yes. And the one thing I've decided in my life, I need to be around Mike Clemens more.
He's
I
great,
just enjoy
isn't he?
him. He's great on the air. He's a good guy off the air. But he wrote the Pack Arena. Remember that? In the 90s.
Wrote that?
He wrote that, and he told the story
Get
on
out.
Nightlight. We should
Mike
share
Clemens.
that. We're going to have to share that.
Yes.
That's something we probably should.
He wrote the Pack
He
Arena.
wrote his boss at a radio station in Milwaukee said, "This has to be done. We want a parody before they were going to go golfing." Something like that. I should have Mike tell it, but he said, "This has to be done before you go golfing." So he and Jane Matnair put this together, and it was like this big phenomenon. All the proceeds went to charity. It was great.
Stop the show.
I know.
Stop the show.
We'll find it.
I've been working here 2.5 years. I have never heard this story.
And this is my bad because I feel like I'm always the last to know everything. I mean, I
not
live up
anymore.
on the state line and I drive down into Green Bay to do my show. So I figure everybody knows this stuff. But yeah, we'll share that because it's great. It's like it was to the Macarena, but they called it the Pack Arena.
And Clemens and Matnair wrote it.
And Matnair sings it.
Oh, what? Jane Matnair sings it?
I swear to God. Don Rosen tap dances? No, I'm kidding. But Mike wrote it, and Jane, Jane sings it. It's great.
There's probably no time zombers, but if we could find that would be magical to go out with.
And I hate to admit it, but it's the Super Bowl Shuffle was cute. It was fun, but I've heard it 50,000 times in my life. The Pack Arena is really
all right. So you told us what's coming up tonight. What do you got tomorrow?
We got Terry Barr for Bar Band Friday night, and we're out of the studio tomorrow night, so we're putting a show together. But it'll be all new material. It'll be fun. And Terry is bringing a 12-year-old singer-songwriter to the show to perform in the studio. Her name is Paige Kleber.
Wow,
she's phenomenal. So Terry will be there. Paige will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And one more plug for tonight. What do you got?
Tonight we got Rich Scheidner, the legendary Rich Scheidner. He's a comedian from Letterman, Carson, all those great shows, and now he's an author. And then Don Rosen.
And the great Don Rosen.
Don Rosen's everywhere.
He is.
He's only 31.
He's everywhere.
But
He's
he
everywhere.
looks 23.
I mean, you thought of the guy who was in the movie earlier.
Yeah. Oh, it's Perry Mason.
Perry Mason
is the remake on HBO with Matthew Rees, and Lithgow's in it. He plays his mentor. It's really
So it's a
good.
remake of Perry Mason. And it streams where?
On Max. And
On Max,
it deals with when Perry Mason was still a PI. He wasn't a lawyer yet. really great period piece, like set in 1930s LA. Awesome.
Yes. Written by Mike Clemens, sung by Jane McNair. The Macarena. Pete Schwab, thanks for joining him tonight on the Civic Media Radio Network. Whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum.
Of Green Bay. Well, the Packers are going all the way this year. There's no doubt about it.
That's
Marks in the pocket. Pass complete. Touchdown, Green Bay. Boy, Lombardi would have loved this.
We are cheeseheads cheering at the Lambeau. This is the year we make it to the big show. Far passes, makes touchdowns, and we will do the Lambeau leaving Titletown. Move with us, dance with us, and you will be defenses like us.
That is fantastic.
Wow. On the stream, now you've heard that gem.
That was worth sticking around, everybody. Thank you very much.
Keep
We'll
that
see you
handy.
tomorrow.
Adios. I
All
will.
right, bye.